Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. 18 days before the voting, is the UPA in trouble? That's the key issue I shall discuss today with the Minister of Tourism and Culture, Ambika Soni. Mrs. Soni, let me start with a simple question. Is the UPA breaking up, or are your allies in the alliance isolating Congress? Which is it?
No, neither. It's not breaking up at all, and nobody really can isolate the Congress, which is probably the oldest and truly a national party.
All right, let's look at the case why people think the UPA is breaking up. To begin with, in critical states like UP, Bihar and Jharkhand, and maybe Tamil Nadu, which give the Lok Sabha 174 seats or 30% of the total, the UPA is going to be fighting as much against itself as it's going to be fighting against the NDA and the left front. That's a disaster.
No, it's not. You know, Karan, every election time, come election time, people want to increase their political support base, they have to readjust. There are pressures on every political party to listen to their own cadres. So this kind of a thing is pretty normal.
Is it?
But don't you look at it the other way?
Is it normal? Look at your name. United Progressive Alliance. You're not united. You're not an alliance. And if you're progressing in different directions.
No, not at all. That may sound good as a question, but it's not so. Look at us fighting for our seats and our political base in Uttar Pradesh, and yet the Samajwadi Party is continuing to praise the leadership of the UPA, are continuing to proclaim from housetops their support to Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi.
It's interesting you should make that point, because in fact it's just been announced yesterday, Wednesday, that the Mulayam Singh Yadav Samajwadi Party, Lalu Prasad Yadav's RJD and Ramvilas Pasan's LJP will in fact be campaigning for each other, but none of them are going to be campaigning for you.
No, that's all right. I don't know how they will be campaigning for each other, because yesterday...
By going from one state to the other to support each other, and they'll be opposing you.
Yesterday, I also read that Samajwadi is contesting Bihar. So that's got to be sorted out among themselves. But why don't you find it extremely interesting that all of them, Ramvilas Paswan, Lalu ji, Mulayam Singh ji, are all going to work for Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister.
Well, in fact, even on that, they are not actually united, because Sharad Pawar has made it crystal clear that Manmohan Singh is in fact the Congress Party's candidate, not the UPA's candidate. He's added that every member of the UPA has a right to have its own candidate for Prime Minister. So even at that level, you're no longer united.
No. These are little statements which one makes, one political parties position themselves, just go by the end product. End product is Sharad Pawarji himself, as I read from the papers, has already said that he is not there because he doesn't have the number.
Sharad Pawarji on television interviews has actually said that there's pressure on his party, there's pressure in Maharashtra for a Maharashtrian, meaning himself.
He said that some time ago.
He said it just a week ago. Well, that's the most recent thing he said.
All right, but after a week he said many other things also,
well, he has said actually,
which is quite the contradictory.
Forgive me, he said nothing to contradict this. And in fact, the problem is that your party president in Bihar is now echoing the opposite to what Lalu is saying. He says that LJP and RJD will be our rivals. So suddenly, not only are they not campaigning for you, but you regard them as rivals. In Bihar and in Uttar Pradesh, your alliance has fractured, if not collapsed.
No, we are deciding to fight for our own political support base. And when we fight an election, we fight to win. It's not a dummy fight.
That's the problem.
Whoever comes out winner at the end of the day, we want to see the people with whom they support, whatever comes out at the end of the day. And I am confident that Congress is going to increase its support base, which is the intention of every political party at the end of the day.
Let's split the answer you've given into two. We'll talk about what happens at the end of the day in a moment's time. Let's first concentrate on how this problem began. It began because in January, Congress decided that it wasn't going to have national level alliances, it was only going to have state level alliances, and the first message you sent out is that at this critical point you were more interested in strengthening Congress rather than strengthening the UPA. The bonds that held the UPA together were untied and loosened by you.
No, it's not by us. These are not things which are done unilaterally. There are circumstances which keep building up. There are leaderships of different political parties which have been together under the UPA with a common minimum program over 5 years. Their commitment to the UPA Their commitment to the leadership of the UPA is very categorical.
You know, when you say these are not things that happen unilaterally, you're not actually telling me the full truth, because Samajwadi, to take that one example to begin with, offered you 17 seats in UP compared to the 9 you won last time. That was virtually double, and yet you rejected it because you have an inflated and exaggerated idea of your strength in that state. It's your unilateral belief that you can do better, which no one else shares, that's brought about the crisis in UP.
Maybe nobody shares today here in television television cameras, but there is another thing called popular support base. Look at the meetings being attended, addressed by our UPA chairperson, the Prime Minister.
You had as many people coming to Sonia Gandhi's rallies in 2004, and you ended up with 9 seats in UP. You're going to have the same crowd following Rahul Gandhi. It happened during the UP Vidhan Sabha elections. In fact, your vote share and your seat strength in the Vidhan Sabha shrank. You know from experience that crowds don't add up to seats.
No.
Why then gamble and break an alliance in UP?
Neither are we gambling, nor are we depending on just crowds. We are also having our inputs, our support base, our cadre, who keeps coming and giving the exact ground reality to our people.
Well,
why are people, let me ask you one counter question, why are MPs, MLAs leaving all these parties and coming over to us? Why is Lalu Prasad Yadav ji,
no one's leaving parties, your allies are ditching you. No one's coming to you.
Members of Parliament are coming and joining Congress party both in Uttar Pradesh and in Rajasthan.
You've broken with Samajwadi, you've broken with LJP, you've broken with RJD.
Well, I mean, you know, our party had been speaking about friendly fights so that every party can increase their support base. No, Karan, there's one thing I insist on putting across. We have gone 5 years of the UPA governance with Manmohan Singh ji and Sonia Gandhi as a solid team leading this UPA alliance.
But at the critical moment when you need to stay united, you're fracturing and dividing.
We have done 5 years of work which probably no single government has done in a mandate of 5 years.
When you need to be united, you're not just fighting, you're actually quarreling.
It's the past on which we want to build our future.
Well, that's what I'm questioning. Are you really building a future? Let's take Bihar as an example now.
Yeah.
I admit that the first offer from Lalu and Paswan was derisory, but then they were prepared to double it. Let me finish. Given that you only won 3 seats last time, the offer that they ultimately made of 6 should have been acceptable. But not only did you refuse them, you now insist you're going to fight 37 seats, and chances are you won't even win 7 of them. So you're exaggerating your belief in yourself.
You know, you seem to have this uncanny power of predicting how many we're going to win.
Everyone believes it.
No, I don't know who's everybody, not the Congress workers, not people in Bihar, not our contacts and information which we get from Bihar day after day, not all those people who are leading their parties and joining Congress. Why would anybody lose a losing party?
Are you seriously telling me that you're going to win even 50% of the 37 seats you're contesting in Bihar?
We are going to win many more than what we won last time. Many more.
The problem is you won
and
so
that is
few
how
last
a party builds up its political support.
The problem is you won so few last time, 3 to be precise, that even if you win 1 more, it will be a 30% increase. So many more is actually not a very meaningful way of putting it. You may go from 3 to 4 and it's a 30%
Unfortunately,
increase.
we had agreed to 4 seats last time, and out of 4 we won 3. What is the percentage of winning? More than the others. So if that is the percentage, why should we not think that out of 37 seats, maybe we are only going to contest 36 as of now. Out of 36, if we win 10, 15, isn't that a hell of a lot?
Let's take a break. You insist right through this first part that in fact the UPA remains united, that these are just friendly contests. I'm going to come back to you and put you the other view, that even if the UPA is intact, which many find hard to believe, within the UPA, Congress is isolated and a bloc has been created that not only is ignoring you, but might shift away from you when the outcome of the elections are known. That's in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate with the Minister of Tourism and Culture, Ambika Soni. Mrs. Soni, in part 1, you stoutly resisted my attempt to convince you that the UPA was breaking up. Let me put it to you, even if it remains intact on paper because every component still talks about the UPA, that's rhetoric. The truth is, Congress has been isolated and a bloc has been formed by Mulayam Singh Yadav, Paswan and Lalu, which is actually working to move in another direction once the results are out. That's the problem.
If that was the problem, why would Shri Mulayam Singh Yadav, Shri Lalu Yadav and Paswan ji continue to say that they are working for Dr. Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister. They are an intrinsic
because
part
like
of the
good politicians,
UPA,
they're hedging
and
their
they
bets.
consider
That's all.
Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi as ideal leaders of the
Because
UPA.
like good politicians, they're hedging their bets, you know it. But the truth is, let me finish, the truth is that Lalu Yadav and Paswan have already said that in Bihar, they are the real UPA, not Congress. Mulayam says that in UP, and there's no doubt that in West Bengal and in Tamil Nadu, you're very much the junior, if not unimportant and irrelevant partner. So nowhere in the states where you hope to get seats does Congress actually feature as the core element of the UPA.
Well, you know, we have admitted over the years that we were weak in these states. But is there no right, have we no right to build up and increase our support base? That's exactly what we are doing. We are also for the UPA. We are also wanting to let the UPA good work rub off on Congress, and we are confident of increasing our support base.
The problem is, whilst you concentrate on increasing your support base, which might be a legitimate thing for you to do, your allies are already sending out feelers to the third front. Both Lalu Yadav and Sharad Pawar are talking about the need to ally with the third front after the elections, and the problem is that the one party the third front won't ally with is Congress. So they're already making arrangements to jump onto another ship and sail away with the third front and create a fourth front. You'll be left as the only party in the UPA on your own. That's why I'm saying you're isolated.
I don't know which third front you're talking of. How many numbers?
You know, and I know what the third front is. Let's not play these games.
No, I'm not playing any games. After all, it's all about arithmetic. You may call half a dozen fronts may come into place, but it depends on how many seats they will finally get. And then when all these people you are talking about have, if you are talking about it, I don't think they will, but if you feel that the left front or the third front or whatever front they want to call themselves is going to be able to come into governance, then you are talking opposite to what the CPI, CPM and other left front leaders are saying.
No. The CPI and CPM are simply saying that they won't ally with Congress at all under any
circumstances. They will ally with
BJP?
They've done that before.
No, but your allies, Lalu, Paswan, Sharad Pawar are all prepared to ally with the third front and create a fourth front. That's the problem. As soon as the results are out, your so-called allies will jump ship and sail away with the third front towards a new dawn. You'll be left all on your own, claiming to be the UPA, but isolated and
Karan, I am not going to spend my time speculating on what you would like to see as a
because it's a nightmare scenario. That's why you don't want to think about it.
It's not. We are fighting in Bihar on full 36 seats after quite a long time.
That's the first folly. That's the first folly.
No, but that may be so for you.
You're
it's
going
not
to
for us.
undercut Lalu's chances and Paswan's chances without increasing your own.
Ask all those congressmen and women who worked at the grassroots for all these years just for this chance of fighting on the Congress platform in Bihar. And this is how you're going to see what
your party workers, I grant you that, but in the process you'll undermine, if not to diminish and demolish the UPA. So you'll have a happy party, but a defeated alliance, and you'll be out of power.
Well, I am not going to start saying what is going to be, because I know to the extent I can speak with authority that what we are doing is in the best interest of the UPA, is in the best interest of giving a strong, stable government to the country, the best interest of assuring security for our people.
If what you're doing is in the best interest of the UPA, then how do you account for the fact that Lalu Yadav in public and repeatedly has said that Sonia Gandhi is making a serious and terrible mistake and she's going to regret it? How do you account for that?
I read his statement last night, and he said this is nothing to do with Sonia Gandhi. Maybe her people have not given her the right inputs, but he is underestimating the intelligence, the political savvy of Srimati Sonia Gandhi.
But he says she's been misled by people
because he doesn't want to lose her
and managers.
He doesn't want to lose her. What will rub off Sonia Gandhi and Dr. Manmohan Singh? Each one wants to get some share of that. Why don't you look at it? They want to talk against the Congress, but they want to adopt our leaders for themselves, because those are the two leaders on whose names we are going to get
They're not
votes.
inviting Sonia to campaign for them in UP. They're not inviting her to campaign for them in Jharkhand or in Bihar.
Because they know that Sonia Gandhi won't go to campaign for them. We've got enough candidates of our own, and she doesn't have the time even to campaign for
They don't see as a vote winner for her. In fact, they're going to be campaigning on their own amongst themselves against Congress in these states. So far from relying on Sonia and needing Sonia, they're dispensing with Sonia and they're creating a new environment where they won't need her.
No, that's all right. That's all right. That's their strategy. Let them go by their strategy. Surely we have a right to adopt our own strategy.
All right,
surely we have some experience over 120 years of being the oldest party, spread all over the country, and not totally align us with regional outfits.
Let's then briefly, in the time left in this interview, try and look at your strategy. People can't seem to quite understand what is the strategy behind your attitude to your allies. Let me put something to you. Are you as a party so befuddled and mistaken by your own belief in Rahul Gandhi's appeal that you've given yourself a false and misleading sense of confidence? Do you really believe that on his coattails, Congress will come to power?
Well, you know, Rahul Gandhi has generated a tremendous amount of enthusiasm among the young people.
But he's never brought in votes. He didn't do it in Punjab. He didn't do it in UP.
Listen to me. I come from Punjab, and I am telling you first-hand information. I don't have to be contradicted because I won't stand it. The number of young people, irrespective of political labels, who are wanting to come forward to Rahul Gandhi's appeal of young people, 70% of our population, come forward and participate in making a tremendous way.
The problem, Mrs. Soni, is that sounds okay at rallies when you see large audiences. It sounds okay in drawing rooms when you're impressing the literati of Delhi. But you know from what happened in UP that he attracts crowds, but he ended up losing Vidhan Sabha seats and he ended up losing vote share for you. Rahul's popularity may be there, but it doesn't translate into votes. So don't rely on him, rely on your allies. You're making a mistake and relying on him instead.
We don't have to rely on any one single thing. Fortunately for us, we have a 5-year record where we've done things which nobody has ever done. We have 3 major promises which we made in our manifesto 3 days ago. We have a leadership which is not comparable to anyone, any regional outfit, and we have young people coming forward because all our young people are looking forward to this new appeal by Rahul Gandhi.
You may have a record which you're proud of, others may dispute it, but I won't. You may have a strategy which you claim is going to be effective, others may dispute it. I have, but I'll concede for the moment that you're convinced of your strategy. The problem is, look at the difference between yourself and your behavior with your allies and the BJP and its behavior. The BJP has made concessions to the JDU and Shiv Sena to keep the NDA intact. You're making demands of your allies, you're pushing them, and you're straining the UPA. You're doing the opposite of what you should be doing.
You are probably the best political, whatever you call interviewer and media personality, the best. Surely you don't see the NDA crumbling? Where is the NDA? They are hanging on to Nitish Kumar's tails in Bihar. They were Shiv Sena leadership totally making a choice between BJP and other parties. Well, where is the... Look at the BJP.
The problem is...
Jetli not going to meetings.
The problem is a month ago or 2 weeks ago when the BJD kicked the BJP in the teeth, there's no doubt the NDA was crumbling, but then you've crumbled as fast, if not faster, than they have. And
Mamta has joined us. Mamta has joined us.
PMK is leaving you. RJD split with you. Paswan split with you. You don't have it. Well, they're hardly united with you.
No, we are having an election. We are all comparing who has the maximum support base.
My last
they
question.
Have not left the UP.
My last question. The reason you face a problem is this. A month ago, people would say that Congress will be the single largest party inevitably and indisputably. Today, they're not at all sure. They think you're vulnerable. They think you're heading towards an unpredictable future. You moved within 1 month from indisputable and inevitable to unpredictable and in serious trouble. That change in fortune is the problem you face.
In TV rooms and drawing rooms, politics are not decided. You can discuss them interminably. Politics are decided where people really vote, and that's out in the field. The farmers who got their loans, the Narega scheme beneficiaries, the rural health mission beneficiaries, the Sav Shiksha, the midday meals, the women, the girl child, and innumerable sections, the weaker sections.
Okay,
they are the ones who are going
as you smile and say that, I'll grant you the last word. Let's hope for your sake you're right. A pleasure talking to you.
We are coming back, Karan.